Hello there.
Hello, howdy.
Howdy. How be it going?
How be it going?
How goes it?
How goes it?
How goes it?
It goes back in time. Time travel.
No! Is it time? Is it finally time for the long-awaited...
It's finally time. It's time to go back into the future.
Going into the past today, aren't we, Luke?
We're going into the past. You and I have a love of the Victorians, and by that I mean a love of the weird things the Victorians did.
Because it makes no sense how we're all still here, to put it quite bluntly.
It really doesn't.
How the Victorians, especially in England, how they lived, we shouldn't have made it. It should be a barren wasteland. It doesn't make sense how we're all alive.
Yeah, they had a lot of lead-based paint.
We're going to get into that later.
We'll be getting to that later. But, well, that's your topic, isn't it? Your topic is only lead-based paint.
That's my... well, no, it's not only lead-based paint, but I can talk about our good friend William Morris and the wallpaper trade for literally hours, because it's a big thing I love. So that's the whole paint sitch is something that I will tell us about later, because it is fascinating and ridiculous, and it's just all a bit... The Victorians, they were just vile and fascinating and brilliant, and...
They did a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff. A mad time. A time of invention and industry, factories. It's definitely the beginning of when things started to go downhill.
It's definitely the beginning of huge cholera outbreaks.
Epidemics, like you wouldn't believe. And factories, which then led to mass production, which then led to corporations. So things started to go downhill with the Industrial Revolution, let's say, the Victorian era.
But we're starting with my group first, which is to say, the dead.
The dead. Your group, is it? Your group of friends, dead people. Yeah.
My group is a group of dead. I'm going to cover resurrectionists.
Yeah.
I'm going to cover safety coffins.
Okay. Yep.
Most people know about, like, the really famous safety coffins, but I found a few fun ones that I did not know about.
Yes.
We'll get into it.
Going
to do a brief cover into something else. We're also going to do a cover into waiting mortuaries.
That's a new one for me. I haven't heard that.
There's a new one for me as well. Some superstitions that they had surrounding, like, death.
Oh, wow. Yeah, okay.
And then also some spiritualism. So really we're covering, like, a few in that group, which is why this is probably going to be a two-part on my topic and your topic. So, starting with resurrectionists.
Who are they?
Not as fun as just reviving a dead body, sadly. Basically, they were just body snatchers.
Okay.
Right? They have a funner name than just body snatchers, which is why I think they went with that name. Like, if you could pick, I feel like resurrectionist is definitely that's how you up your CV, really, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. That's like saying that you're really good with computers when you just know how to send an email.
Yeah, basically. It's like Microsoft Suite, but you know how to open PowerPoint.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing.
Resurrectionists, they were commonly employed by anatomists in the... Anatomists. There we go, we got there in the end. Had to say it in my head before I said it out loud. Anatomists in the United Kingdom during the 18th and 19th century. So obviously, because they were body snatchers, they were used to exhume bodies.
Used to pinch bodies.
Yeah, of the recently dead, because you don't want one that's been there a while, let's be honest.
No.
So this is because between 1506 and 1752, a huge span, by the way, 200 years.
Yeah, that's a long time to be like, yeah, we're going to steal some bodies.
Yeah, isn't it? Like, that's maybe vampires were stealing them.
No,
But anyway, basically, during that time, only very few cadavers were available each year for anatomical research. So, like, surgeons and teaching and medicine and all that stuff. That's what it was.
Oh, I know a bit about this, actually. Right, okay. So have you ever heard of a film called Burke and Hare?
No.
Right, so it's about how, like, I think it was the first funeral director was, like, established, and basically they had a house where they had, like, renters come in and stuff, and they accidentally ended up starting killing them and all that here. But they donated the bodies to medical, I think it was the Edinburgh Medical University.
It was really popular in Edinburgh, yeah.
Yeah, and they started robbing corpses, then they started killing people, and then they just started taking the people to the place to get the money and obviously rake it in. And one of them, I think it was Hare, he ended up going off and like basically establishing funeral parlours, and you know how it's like big old carriages and the big floofy hats and all that kind of stuff. He basically set that up, whereas the other one ended up being hanged for the crime, or killed for the crime. I think it was hanged. And basically his skeleton is still inside the Edinburgh Medical University, I think.
Yeah, so depending on the kind of body that was given,
yes,
depending on how much money it would sell for, there was one, I think it was, basically he sold for like £500 or something, and back then that's insane money. His body is still on display.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That might be who I'm on about.
Charles Byrne. The so-called Irish giant fetched about £500 when it was bought by John Hunter. Byrne's skeleton remains on display at the Royal College of Surgeons of England.
Different person, but madness. Yeah, interesting.
Back onto the tale. The supply for dead bodies increased when, in an attempt to intensify the deterrent effect of the death penalty, Parliament passed the Murder Act of 1752 by allowing judges to substitute the public display of executed criminals with dissection, a fate generally viewed with horror.
Right.
Yeah, so basically, you could dissect people. Increase the number of bodies autonomous could legally access. So they weren't allowed to access any, except for, like, I'm guessing a few that were given to medical science. And then when they passed that for criminals, gave them a lot of access. It was still insufficient to meet the needs of the hospital, obviously, because they probably went through these bodies left, right, and centre back then. So corpses and their component parts became a commodity. But although the practice of disinterment was hated by the general public, bodies were not legally anyone's property. So therefore, they operated in like a grey area.
Okay, so
the bodies didn't belong to anyone once they died. They weren't the family's property or anything.
Because they died, right, okay. That's wild.
So grave robbing was illegal.
Right.
And there were lots of things put in place to stop it, like tomb slabs and gated things and everything and all that stuff.
Yes.
Graveyard people would like keep watch and everything.
Yes.
But the body didn't belong to them. So it technically wasn't illegal to take the body. It was illegal to rob the grave. I guess if you got it like just beforehand, you'd be fine. So the measures, there was increased security at graveyard. There were night watchers patrolling grave sites. The rich placed their dead in secure coffins, and physical barriers such as mort safes, which are basically just a metal grid going all the way.
Grid around the safe. Yes, around the safe, around the grave.
And heavy stone slabs to stop the extraction of a corpse.
That's mad.
They really put like a lot in place.
Because I've seen like graves with those big grid cages on in cemeteries and stuff. And obviously, when I was younger, I was like, "That's weird." And it wasn't until older times. It's bad, you know. Don't regret.
It does remind me of Repo, though. I'm going to be honest. Repo, the generic offer.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
But a lot of things remind us of Repo, the generic offer. To be honest,
If we have an excuse to talk about Repo the Genetic Opera, we will talk about Repo the Genetic Opera.
we will. That's the concurrent throughout the series.
Like if we can pass on the cult of Repo the Genetic Opera and we can get the word out there.
We're like Vile, well, Repo, Blue, Repo,
Paris Hilton, Repo.
Repo. But yeah, that is basically like a brief covering of Resurrectionists.
Resurrectionists, aka grave robbers.
They definitely have a cooler job title than what they do.
Yeah, makes it sound a lot fancier than it is.
I know. When I first heard about it, I was picturing kind of genuinely bringing people back to life, resurrecting them. The Resurrectionists got me on because I did all of this at 5 a.m. So obviously I went down a hole. The Resurrectionists got me started on being buried alive, very common during that time, as we all know.
Big issue.
Very famously, there was the bells. So there were a lot of precautions put in place to try and stop this. There was generally some I did not know. So basically, short coverage, cholera outbreaks, infections, everything going around because they didn't have any sanitary anything. Let's be honest, they were gross.
They were disgusting. The city was disgusting.
Everyone was ill. Everyone was dying. Everyone was being buried alive, really. But they were very scared of being buried alive, which I feel is valid.
Yeah.
So, and I quote, "This is when clever feats of engineering came into place."
It was so good at engineering the Victorians. They were just absolutely just like the things they made. Go on, tell me.
So, the safety coffin.
The safety coffin.
It provided its occupants the ability to escape from their newly found entrapment and alert others above ground that they were indeed still alive. Many safety coffins included comfortable cotton padding, feeding tubes, and an intricate system of cords attached to bells, which is what we all famously know about the bells. There were a few escape hatches. Most of them did neglect methods of providing air, though.
When you say food tubes, do you mean like it's like in the body?
I'm assuming it goes into the mouth.
Wait, so you get buried alive, you wake up and you've just been put in a tube in your gob?
You just got like a sandwich there.
Just pack it.
Yeah. I don't know if maybe the tube goes into it so they can just throw down some, like, I don't know what they ate back then, porridge.
Bread.
So chalk, really.
Chalk, really.
So, an account from 1791 explains the death of a man from Manchester, Robert Robinson, and a prototype of a safety coffin. This is what I thought was really interesting because I'd never heard of a safety coffin like this. He was laid to rest in a mausoleum with a special door that could be opened from the outside by the watchman on duty. Inside Robinson's coffin was a removable glass panel, and before his death, Robinson had instructed his family to periodically check the glass panel inserted in the coffin so that if it fogged up with condensation, so it would show his breath. And I was like, that's actually pretty smart back then.
That is smart.
But yeah, so basically if there was condensation on it, he would be like removed immediately. However, the first true recorded safety coffin was Duke Ferdinand of Brunswick before his death in 1792. The coffin included an air tube, a lock to the coffin lid that corresponded with keys he kept in his pocket, and a window to let light in. I'm unsure about the light part of that.
Yeah, if the coffin's under the ground, how's it let the light in?
Yeah, I don't know if it was in like a...
Is it in a mausoleum?
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know, if it was in a mausoleum it would make sense. Or if it was a raised tomb. But I just found it interesting that they like to add little glass panels to things, because I did not know about those.
Wasn't, like, the Victorian era the first time when making glass became kind of, like, mass-produced, so they started putting windows and everything. Isn't that right?
I don't know, I didn't do that deep dive.
I think that's just, I didn't do a deep dive on that, that's just a random fact.
So, 1892 saw the rise of the bell system, created by Dr. Johann Gottfried Tabager.
Dr. what, sorry?
Bells housed above ground, connected to strings attached to the body's head, hands, and feet. I didn't know it was all three. I thought they just had like a little pull cord.
I didn't realise it was actually attached to the body. I thought it was just a cord that they could like wriggle up and be like, yeah.
No, it's attached to all three, so I guess if you wiggle, and then the bell rang.
So if you're just there, suddenly decide to do the YMCA, the bell's going to be going mad, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the coffins were that spacious. Imagine you've just got this rope tied around like your forehead though, and if you shake your head like,
Bell's going ding, it's a bell sound effect here.
But yeah, if the bell rang, then the cemetery watchman would insert a tube into the coffin and pump air using bellows until the person could be safely evacuated from their grave.
Did it ever happen? Did they ever safely get anyone out? Do we know?
I don't think that is ever reported ever. But due to the process of natural decay and the swelling of corpses, the bell system was often falsely activated. Because obviously you swell, you're going to move the strings.
Yeah.
Literally the next sentence, despite its popular use, there is no record of a safety coffin saving anyone.
Oh no.
I'm going to say they didn't work great.
No, they didn't work great. The people that did die, we will never know, because obviously they were just buried alive, weren't they? We'll never know who's dead. We'll never know who was alive, really. Not unless we exhume everybody, which I don't think we're going to do.
During this research, I did find out maybe the worst information I had ever been given about the Victorians.
Okay, go on.
I have never heard of it. I did not want to have, and I'm not covering properly. I'm just going to briefly say what it was. So smoke enemas were a thing with tobacco.
Okay.
And a pipe. And one documented case in 1746 came from the resurrection of a man's wife who was being given a tobacco pipe enema.
Why was she being given a tobacco pipe enema?
So that's how they thought it would bring people back to life. That was like a form of resuscitation.
They thought that sticking a pipe up someone's butt and lighting it and letting the smoke go inside their ass.
Oh, no. Sorry, no, you misunderstand. So, there is some poor person blowing into that pipe, blowing tobacco smoke into a thin pipe.
I thought it was like a pipe that they shoved in and then they like lit it like an old man pipe. No, so it's just a pipe in the butt that someone's then going...
Yep, as a way to like see if someone was dead or not and try and revive them. I want to know who thought of it. The tobacco was meant to stimulate the lungs, essentially, but I'm unsure as to why they chose that way to do it.
How does it how are they getting to the lungs through the butt?
Like I said, I didn't want to know about it. I never knew about it. I would have happily not known about it, but I needed to share. They were a mainstream practice. They were common.
But why?
So they were used for treating ailments such as headaches, respiratory issues, and the resuscitation of drowning victims.
Did they think the lungs were attached to the butt? I'm so confused.
The practice was thought to provide two essential elements: warming the person's body and stimulating respiration.
Right, okay, alright, fine. They believe these crazy things, fine, right? But with the amount of bodies that we know they were stealing to cut up to do medical research, how did they not know that the lungs went in the ass?
Yeah, but they just didn't know a lot of stuff back then, did they?
But they could open the body and they could be like, oh, there's the lungs.
Yes, but Shannon, medical science back then was like, I don't know, do cocaine about it.
We're getting into that later.
I only wanted to briefly touch on the tobacco enemas, and I've sadly had to then do more research. No, there were a few other methods as well. So they shocked the body, they manipulated it. One was just pulling on a person's tongue for hours on end to, I guess, see if that did anything.
So basically, what we've learned so far is that the Victorians had a lot of respect for corpses.
Yeah, they really just tried anything. They really chose, I guess we'll try this now. Small history lesson. So, the first stethoscope was invented by René Launay in Paris. It's much different than it was today. It was essentially just like a tube that you'd listen to on your ear. Which leads me on to the next test. Basically, people figured out they could hear the heart.
They didn't know that before.
They obviously did not.
They'd never been like cuddling up with their partner in bed, put their head on the chest and been like, ooh, what's that?
I don't think they did.
Right, okay, go.
Middeldorf, a German scientist, engineered the needle flag test. This test involved thrusting a needle into someone's chest, and the needle was attached to like a small flag, and then if that flag moved, it meant the person's heart was beating. I feel like you could just put your hand there.
No. You could just go like, okay, now I can't feel anything. Am I dead?
Am I dead? Did I die? Quick, get a needle and a flag. Or a tobacco enema.
No, I'm not dead. That's what I need, a good old tobacco enema.
Imagine waking up from, like, death. And then just be like,
Excuse me?
Do you mind awfully? So, this flag technique was used on a female patient whose family were concerned that she wasn't dead yet. She'd been declared dead, but the family was still doubting everything. So the doctor plunged the needle into the woman's heart and after no movement declared she was dead. Obviously the family then went, yeah, you've killed her though just now.
And then they turned around and said, you just murdered her.
He did that to prove she was dead. The family then went, well, you have just stabbed her heart, so she probably is dead. And then immediately the needle flag test lost its popularity because he was ridiculed by, like, media and everything.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So they really tried, like, a lot to...
They just wanted everything to...
I mean, they chopped off fingers and toes just to see if someone would wake up. Next time, because this episode ran too long.
Can you imagine the smell, though?
Yeah, I don't think... It would just be formaldehyde and petunias. It was discredited, but I guess they still went... They were like, yeah, you can tell us no, but...
Yeah, no, they'll still do it. Like, they might be told, do this instead of this, but they'll still do the wrong thing.
The findings are considered the first observation of the placebo effect.